Listen, man, this Caitlin Clark versus Stephanie White thing could turn ugly, and it could turn ugly fast, y'all. I have to be straight up with y'all. Stephanie White wants to play the polar opposite way that Caitlin Clark wants to play. The Indiana Fever got a big win yesterday, and it was a tale of two halves. The first half, the Indiana Fever played that Stephanie White style, that grinded out, ugly, puke basketball. Puke basketball in the first half. The second half, Caitlin Clark, even though she was making shots, went full throttle, pedal to the metal, and was running. She was just flat out running, pushing the tempo. And what did we do? We go put up almost 100 points. We go score 99. And I'm hearing about this altercation in the tunnel or around halftime. And if it happened, I'm glad it happened. And it needs to continue to happen. And Caitlin Clark needs to continue to put her foot on their neck because this is her team.
You're seeing it everywhere online right now. A battle for control of the Indiana Fever playing out live on national TV. But here's the real question. What if this isn't just drama? What if this visible tension between rookie phenom Caitlin Clark and head coach Stephanie White isn't just a clash of personalities or styles? What if it's all part of a bigger, colder plan, not created courtside but engineered quietly from the front office? This video title? It's not clickbait. We're going to treat it seriously because the evidence is stacking up. And it all suggests that the chaos we're seeing in Indiana might not be dysfunction at all. It might be deliberate, a strategic setup designed to push out Stephanie White by the very people who hired her. And the biggest clue? The smoking gun? It's not about what's happening now. It's about what happened last year. Let's rewind. If you've been following the Fever before the Caitlin Clark era, you know this franchise made a move that left analysts completely stunned. In 2024, head coach Christy Sides did the unthinkable. She took Indiana to the playoffs.
It was only a matter of time, bro, that Caitlin Clark was going to obviously have words with Stephanie White. We noted that she's been running this motion offense, and Caitlin Clark cannot get in the rhythm. A lot of people think that Caitlin Clark hurt. I don't believe she's hurt. I believe Caitlin Clark cannot simply get into rhythm. That's why she has not been shooting very well. And I was one of the first people to tell y'all this was going to happen. Told y'all about a week ago, Caitlin Clark was going to come back. And if nothing is going to change, we're going to see the same Caitlin Clark we've seen right before injury.
So now we have to ask, why did they hire Stephanie White? On the surface, it looked like a heartwarming PR move. A Fever legend, a former player, a hometown return. But narrative analysts like us? We dig deeper. Stephanie White had just been let go by the Connecticut Sun. She was available. But here's the twist. If the Fever just fired a playoff coach, why would they turn around and hire someone who was just fired herself? There's only one reason. Because she would play ball. Because she wouldn't challenge the front office's deeper plan. And here's where things start getting wild. They knew who they were hiring. They also knew exactly who they were drafting.
If you guys didn't see Natasha Howard looked off Caitlin Clark to end the third quarter. She looked off Caitlin Clark to end the third quarter in what was just incredibly dumb play. And again, I do want to apologize about the size. I do want to apologize about the size of these clips. If I make the clips any bigger, I will get copyright claims. If you're wondering why I'm not doing any breakdowns and why people aren't doing that, they're going to get copyright claims. So, if you didn't see here, Natasha Howard looks off Caitlin Clark to run to nowhere. Takes 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 steps, does the cha-cha slide, and gets into Caitlin Clark with 3 seconds to go, and she has to shoot a tough step back.
Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark, she's the exact opposite. Fast-paced, high-octane, shoot from anywhere. She thrives in chaos. So what happens when you pair two totally opposite basketball styles? Boom collision course. Commentators called it from the jump. White's motion offense doesn't let Clark get into rhythm. She looks off. It's not the injury. It's the system holding her back. The answer? Because the friction was the plan. The front office needed proof, public. Undeniable chaos. As justification to eventually remove Stephanie White without taking the PR hit. If they just fired her outright, people would ask, why? But if the locker room breaks down on live TV, if Clark looks visibly frustrated, If the team chemistry melts in front of the cameras, then the front office looks like heroes when they swoop in to fix it. And wouldn't you know it, that's exactly what happened. It started with missed passes, veterans like Natasha Howard ignoring Clark on obvious possessions. Clip after clip went viral.
So let's take a look at the clip here. People talking about body language. People talking about Caitlin is fed up. They're talking about how Howard is just selfish with the ball. Let's just take a look at it, man. So she dumps it down. Watch Caitlin's shoulders here. She kind of like, Then she goes to tie her shoes as Howard goes to work and misses the layup, man. Oh, my goodness. Now, tying your shoes is kind of diabolical. Now, I've seen it before where players take a little time to kind of tie their shoes if they're out of the play and they know they're not going to get the ball in it or something like that. But, yeah.
One moment in particular, a freeze out where Howard walks the ball, ignores Caitlin, and then dumps her the ball with seconds left. The analysis? Dumb play. Diabolical. It wasn't just once. It became a pattern. And Clark? She started sending signals. The most viral moment? The shoe tying incident. On a live possession, Clark, frustrated and checked out, bent down to tie her shoes mid-play while her teammate forced a bad shot. That's not just frustration, that's protest. And now, the tension's boiling. According to several sources, the Atlanta Dream game was the final spark. There was reportedly a heated exchange between Clark and White going into halftime. But here's where it gets nuclear. According to multiple commentators, Clark told Coach White to bench veterans Kelsey Mitchell and Natasha Howard, a rookie demanding that established vets be benched. That's not just conflict, that's a full-blown locker room civil war. But from the front office's perspective, mission accomplished. They finally had the narrative they needed. A coach who's lost the team, a rookie being held back, a locker room full of drama. But here's the twist in this entire theory. Stephanie White didn't fight back. She didn't assert authority. She didn't bench Clark. She didn't call out her star. In fact, she defended her, publicly. She's been fined multiple times by the WNBA this season for standing up in press conferences and calling out the officials for how Clark is being treated. One clip? Are you trying to get me fined again? That's White, standing up for her player, risking her own money. And then, she mysteriously missed multiple games this season for personal reasons. Let's connect those dots. Either she's cracking under the pressure of the chaos the front office created, or she's being sidelined intentionally. In either case, she's not in control. She's a placeholder, a middle manager, brought in not to lead but to absorb the fallout of a chaotic transition year, while the real power brokers in the Fever organization stay silent, watching it all unfold. Because this isn't about basketball anymore. It's about asset management. Caitlin Clark isn't just the most valuable rookie. She's the most valuable asset in the entire WNBA. And calling her that isn't hype, it's reality. She's the engine of the league's current momentum, the reason seats are filled. Merchandise is flying off shelves, and ratings are reaching heights the WNBA hasn't seen in decades. Caitlin doesn't just play basketball. She moves culture, media, and money. She is the center of gravity in a league desperately searching for orbit. A commentator said it best recently. Clark didn't come to your system. You came to hers. That's not just a clever soundbite. That's a full-blown paradigm shift. She isn't some rookie trying to adapt to the professional game. No, the professional game is trying to adapt to her. And when he added, "This isn't Apple, this is Boost Mobile. Clark is the Apple," the metaphor cut deep. Clark isn't just a part of the WNBA, she is the product now. The face, the brand, the franchise.
Stephanie White definitely had a situation where they was in a heated exchange right before halftime. Guys, word on the street is that Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White exchanged words going into halftime of this Atlanta Dream game. Now, I'm here to tell you, no footage has emerged of the altercation, but I'm pretty sure within a couple hours it's going to be roaming somewhere out there that this
Gotta understand something, Stephanie White. You could have stayed in Connecticut. Caitlin Clark didn't go to Connecticut and join your program. You came where she was. Natasha Howard came where she was. She did not go join y'all. So don't try to come over here and take away everything that she does well and try to get her to blend into what y'all do. The fans have spoke. This Stephanie White versus Caitlin Clark thing can turn very nasty, and let's really see which way do you think the organization is gonna go. You gotta remember, Kelly Crosskoff and Amber Cox, they out here trying to sell the Indiana Fever as Apple. Apple, man, y'all ain't no goddamn app. Y'all not even Boost Mobile. You do realize this franchise didn't make the playoffs for over 10 years until Caitlin Clark got there. You do realize Kelsey Mitchell was winning like 6 games a year as a pro. She was winning like 6 games a year. This ain't no Apple. Caitlin Clark is the Apple.
Think about it. Apple didn't have to beg the world to notice their product. They built something so magnetic, so game-changing, that people lined up around city blocks to be part of it. That's what Caitlin Clark is doing right now. Wherever she goes, arenas are sold out. Ticket prices skyrocket. Scalpers are treating her games like a Taylor Swift concert. Cities are seeing an economic bump just from her appearances. This isn't hype. It's leverage. It's influence. It's undeniable. And that's why you're seeing friction. That's why veterans are grumbling behind the scenes. That's why coaching staff tension is rising. Why rotations feel off. Why locker rooms seem split. Because this isn't just about basketball anymore. Caitlin Clark isn't here to blend in. She's here to redefine. And some people are scared of that, because it exposes cracks in old systems. It makes traditional hierarchies uncomfortable. It forces coaches and executives to ask hard questions. Are we building a system around our star, or are we forcing the star to adapt to a system that clearly isn't working? Because here's the truth, nobody in the front office wants to admit. The WNBA needs Caitlin Clark far more than Caitlin Clark needs the WNBA. And if the league doesn't start treating her like Apple, a revolutionary product that demands full-scale support, then they'll be stuck acting like Boost Mobile, watching the future slip right through their fingers in a 5G world. Every decision being made inside the Indiana Fever organization right now, from the smallest substitution to the biggest leadership choices, traces back to one goal: maximizing Caitlin Clark. Not just developing her talent, but transforming her into the face of the franchise, the engine of its brand, and the centerpiece of its future. She's not just a basketball player, she's a once-in-a-generation asset, and the franchise knows it. But here's the twist. The dysfunction you're seeing, the locker room tension, the coaching confusion, the on-court inconsistency, it might not be an accident, it might be deliberate. What looks like chaos from the outside could actually be the groundwork of a much bigger plan. This isn't a bug in the system. It's a feature. It's part of a long-game strategy to shift power from the old regime to a new era. Think about it. Every time the team loses, every time Clark looks frustrated, every time the media points to miscommunication or chemistry issues, it adds weight to one story, that something is broken. And once the pressure becomes undeniable, the front office will step in, not as culprits, but as saviors. Because if you're a smart executive watching your most valuable asset being underutilized, misunderstood, or mismanaged, what do? You don't make a rash decision. You engineer a narrative. You let the cracks show, let the tension build. And then you move. With the fans behind you, with media support, and with Clark positioned as the future. In that sense, the chaos isn't a crisis, it's a tool. The front office is letting this unfold so they can justify the ending they already wrote. The coaching change, the team culture shift, the full-scale redesign of this franchise around Caitlin Clark, on the court and behind the scenes. This is not dysfunction. This is design. And once it plays out, no one will be surprised when the Fever emerge with a new head coach, a new playbook, and a new hierarchy. One that puts Clark exactly where they always intended her to be, at the top. But what do you think? Is Stephanie White a willing participant in this setup, or just a pawn caught in a bigger game? And who do you think will be coaching the Indiana Fever next season? Drop your take in the comments. We read everything. This story's far from over. So if you want to stay one step ahead of the mainstream coverage, subscribe, hit that notification bell. and share this video with someone who sees past the surface. Because this is narrative analysis. And we're just getting started.